We're live.
Okay, well, apparently we're live.
We're live.
And now we have yet another way to communicate in addition to Slack and Zoom and email and phone calls and in person.
I know, but mostly it's the Slack channel, right? That just goes wild all
It goes
day.
wild all the time.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah. All right. So we had some things that we wanted to talk about.
well, I wanted you to start actually with the faffing about.
Faffing about, because we said there was some that we were gonna, I think it's 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
There's a conference that we're both attending, and we both want to attend it, but it starts at noon. And so we figure that we can come on here and do 15 minutes of this live chat while the conference people are, as I said, faffing about.
And I love that. I just feel like it's so onomatopoetic. Like it's like faffing. But
Yeah.
what does it actually mean? Like,
So,
where does it come from?
So it's a Britishism, and there's more to say about an American speaker of American English using a Britishism. I have thoughts about that.
Oh,
But
I mean, I grew up with Britishisms because my dad is Indian, so it was all like
so
going to the loo and whatever. I had to change my whole lingo when I moved here.
Yeah, and I adopted them from the 4 years that I lived in England. But I think at this point in time, it's a little weird to be still using those terms. However, along with chuffed, which nobody uses correctly in America, and that's another topic for discussion, faffing about is kind of, we don't have it in English because it means like messing around and
I mean, people
not
like
quite being direct, and like if you're just like, what are you doing in the kitchen? I'm just faffing about, like and I looked it up, and it comes from Old Danish or Icelandic. And the words that it's associated with are
equally weird.
This is not made up. It is associated with the word maffle and famble. I am not kidding you.
Those are like out of Alice in Wonderland or something.
Yeah, and they mean together, they sort of mean like groping around in the dark.
Yeah, okay.
And stammering or mumbling or muttering. And so you get from famble and maffle, you get
faffing about.
So anyway, I mean, this kind of stuff I find very fascinating.
Well, I know. We spend a lot of time talking about words. Actually, recently, so one of the highlights of my week, as you know, to some extent, has been finishing up the edits on a translation. From French for our what is it? It's coming out in November, right? I actually have the cover here. This is the French one. Je me regarderai dans les yeux, by Rim Batal, and so it's a beautiful, poignant, slim little book, but packs a punch. But what was exceptionally fun for me, other than being able to really dive into a few hours of editing and not dealing with uploading files to Ingram and tech support problems, which is a large part of our life right now, is that because I can read the French, as you know, having grown up in France, and editing a translation is so different. We can't mess with the characters or the structure. I mean, we are bound to that. And so it really becomes about the words. And do you remember the conversation we had about the title? So, je me regarderai dans les yeux in French, if you translate it into English, is I will look myself in the eyes.
Right.
And then, so I put that in our announcement, like I will look myself in the eyes. And then the translator, Liza, who's fantastic,
Liza Tripp. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, wait, I thought we were calling it, I'll look myself in the eyes.
That's right.
LL. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And we proceeded to have a whole long discussion about those two letters, right? The W and the I.
That it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
So that's what it really gets down to. I mean, I know in editing in general that can happen, but with the translation, there's this additional piece of, remaining true to the voice of the book and the author's tone. Yeah. And I remember, like, you and I even had different opinions, I think, about the
I thought one was defiant and the other less so, and it was the opposite of what you thought.
Right. Like, I was thinking... Correctly.
Yeah, I was like, I will. It was like, I will find you.
Yeah, so actually, I agreed with that.
Yeah.
But it's the translator who was like, no. I think that actually introduces somewhere uncertainty, like, I will look myself in the eyes when something.
Mm, mm.
And to me, it was like, no, it's like, I will.
Yeah.
But then
Interesting.
she
Yeah.
thought, well, it also sounds a little stilted, and the protagonist is a 17-year-old, adolescent. She wouldn't speak that way. I mean,
Mm.
so we went on and on. We finally
Yeah.
decided on I apostrophe LL.
Mm.
But some of the entertaining part of our conversation about how to translate, in particular, well, one of them was about butts, and
Right.
right. So we can say butts on this. Um, and so French has this
Right.
term. What?
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like French. I mean, you speak a lot of French. Like French has this term, which is les fesses, and les
Yeah,
fesses
which is
like
like your butt
refers to,
cheeks.
yeah, but
I'm
it
pointing to mine.
thank you. But it's not just because that even is different. Les fesses in French doesn't necessarily refer to like one and then the other, but it's like,
It's a
but it's like
picture.
the whole thing. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Because in French, everybody uses that term, whether it's like a 3-year-old kid or a
Mm, mm.
75-year-old person, whatever social stratum,
Yeah.
whatever, that's a term that just everybody uses. And so when that word shows up in the text, there are so many different translations you could use in English,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
every single one has its own connotations. So, like somebody who says "heiny," that's like,
That's a
right?
very particular
It's very
person.
particular, and
Tiny.
it's not like
Mhm.
tushy. I mean, it's similar, but
Oh, there's
then
so many different words
right, right,
for
and so we
that
had.
alone in English as there are in French, as
So
you
I was
were.
wondering,
Yeah.
actually, what it's like in Greek. Like, how many terms, like, how do people refer to that part of the anatomy, and how tied are those terms to the person's, you know,
Yeah,
demographics?
so here we get into an interesting question about bilingualism and all of that, because there are a lot. I swear like a sailor, as you know, in English.
Mhm.
Um, I think I would like to aspire to Veep level profanity used at the right place and time,
Mhm.
but I can't
Mhm.
do that. But in Greek, I kinda there's a limit. I did because I wasn't swearing around my family,
Yeah, I had the same in
so
English.
I there are probably all kinds of, like, the extent
But
of
this isn't even
the
swearing. It's
richness
like,
of
how do you
profanity that I yeah, but so, like, and in Greek, you have diminutives. Everything gets a diminutive. So your butt would be popos, that's your butt, but you could have a populi if you have
Oh,
a little one.
is that like if you're a baby, though?
Yeah, if you're a kid, populi, you might say
There's
to
a
the
French
kid,
term
like,
that's like that, it's popotin, le popotin.
"Well, I wonder if they're connected."
They probably are.
Yeah, interesting.
But popotin you only refer to if it's a baby or a little kid.
Wait,
Like, if you're over 5, you don't have a popotin.
I have to say that Robin Ryle, our
I know.
debut author, like, for us, the debut of our press, says, "I did not have a discussion of butts on my bingo card for Wheelhouse Wednesday." Well, we
Well,
aim to delight and surprise.
exactly.
What
Um,
can I say? Um,
but yeah, no, the swearing thing is actually is interesting too because, well, actually, yeah, so finish what you're saying.
no, well, this goes back to something that you said before, like, you know how, like, when you draft an email, like, you're always more inclined I'm gonna say this backwards, you're less inclined to use a contraction.
Me.
And yes, like,
Yes, I know,
you're
I
when you're
know.
writing English, you won't use a contraction in places where I would absolutely
I now go back and put them in
you put them
thinking of
in.
you.
And I think it's because you're thinking in French. I think you're
Maybe.
writing with a piece of French, not to say that there aren't contractions in
There's far fewer.
there are
Yeah.
fewer.
Unless you
So
go
I
like
think
shri instead of je suis, but that's like more like slang almost,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so you don't but you don't and I'll if it's something that you're like, "Hey, take a look at this and make some changes," most of the time, I'm putting, I'm turning it to we're announcing da 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 da
Right.
da. And that's an interesting sort of vestige, or not vestige, but characteristic of your other language coming down. I'm
Probably,
gonna
yeah.
say I think I've actually gotten away from it, but I used to use a lot of, like, she was sitting instead of she sat.
She sat.
It always seemed to me like, what do you mean she sat? That means she just now sat down.
Mhm.
But there was like a duration thing, and part of it
Mhm.
was I was writing as if I was speaking Greek, and I was thinking, no, you can't say "έκατσε," she sat. That means like right in that
She
moment
made that action
sat,
of sitting.
and
Right.
I meant she was sitting, and
Right.
so I felt like I had to say it in that way instead of saying it in the simple past tense. But I think I've started to teach myself English, lo, these many years
I know. Well, it's
later.
funny because here I am an editor in English, but I mean, my formative language years, I spoke English at home, as you know, but all my like grammar school, not grammar school, but grammar taught in
Learning
school
grammar.
was in
Yeah,
French.
yeah.
I had
Mhm.
that one year when I was 6, and I lived in Manhattan for a year, and I went to PS41. And it was first grade, and so conveniently, that was, when you really are diving into reading. I mean, some kids read sooner, but like in
Yes,
school,
yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah.
reading, and so that year I had both the English and the French. But it wasn't until later, like in high school, that I actually had classes taught in English. So yeah, I hadn't thought about sort of the effect of French on my own English.
Yeah. Yeah, people used to notice it, like, when I was workshopping stuff, people would be like, "You keep saying 'was sitting, was doing, was blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah, blah,'" and I was like, "Well, isn't that correct?" And then I had to really think about what I was doing with that sort of duration thing. Um,
Yeah.
you know what I
The
oh,
the
wait, can I oh, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, but I was telling you earlier this week. What day is it today? Wednesday. Well, early this week and also last week about that whole future tense thing in Irish literature in
Mhm.
English. Remember, I was like, that's a whole other thing that I just thought of now because the duration of the past tense
Oh, yeah, well, the
in
different
English, sat.
languages handling of duration and
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
totally different.
So it's this thing where like, and I will apologize to anyone who knows far more about this than I do, which is going to be a lot of people in the world. But I
They're
know that
probably
when
not listening to you
they're
right now.
probably not listening right now. But when I'm reading Irish literature in English, because I do not read Irish, there's that weird future tense that is used in Hiberno English. Um, and I was just listening to Time of the Child by Niall Williams, which is, I told everyone I know, like, oh my God, this book. It's one of the most beautiful books I've ever read.
Time what's it called? Time what?
Time of the Child.
Time of the
And I
child.
guess I'm a late arrival to Niall Williams because I said this to
I
a
haven't
random,
arrived there yet,
like,
so
oh yeah, I've read blah, 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 all his other ones. But it just reminded me again of this usage where we might say in American English, we might say, if someone comes in, would you like a seat? We're asking about someone's preference. And like in this, an example would be like, will you sit?
right.
Which to me
Or
is
will
sort
you
of
have
like,
tea?
if I were asked, it'd be like, I don't know, will I? Um,
Right.
it's a way of using the it elides and omits the request.
Mhm.
And I think what I'm fascinated about it so much is that it almost makes it sound like there's already a story.
Mhm.
There is a story about this person's actions. And the person asking the question, "Will you sit?" is sort of asking like, "Hey, you know the story of
Right.
your life already. Is that what's happening next for you?"
I know, that's
And
funny,
it just
but sometimes it's not even a question, sometimes it's just that, like, "You'll have tea?" It's stated
yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah.
it's a statement, but with a question mark.
Yeah, or what I really find so interesting is where the person might say, "Will I sit?" And then again, it's like, well, I don't know.
Wait, with a question mark?
Like, well, yeah, like, "Will I sit? Will I sit beside you?"
Like,
Which means like,
"Is it okay
"Do
with
you
you if
mind
I
if I
sit?"
sit? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but it's like,
yeah.
"Will I sit beside you?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." But I started poking around, and in a very, rudimentary way, I learned that the theory is that it comes about from the lack of um no, 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 it's a verb tense thing from Irish English, from Irish Irish.
Mhm.
You know what? Our time is up.
Oh, no. Well, what do we do? We said we were going to do
we have to
15
say
minutes. Once we get
we're going to
started,
talk more about this another time, like
it
next
can
week.
go on. But yeah, we promised ourselves that we would do 15 minutes, and this is like a little break for us and for people. So this is a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger.
People can now go do research on Hiberno English.
Yeah. Okay.
Which sounds to me like something you should speak when you're mumbling in your sleep and you're hibernating.
When you're faffing about.
But it's spring now.
Yeah.
All right. So we will go back to faffing about on our own, not on screen.
Okay.
And I'll see you in one of the other places I see you.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.